you remember, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to vote for me. Just remember that you were here on this day at this time, and that I shared with you that the change that matters is coming.
Separation of church and state.
That's a great question. That's a great question.
It's not a question, it's a statement, it's a fact.
No, let me explain that to you. So the reason how we've gotten trapped is the Republican Party has told this state a lie from the gates of hell. What they have tried to do is force our God onto others through the state. That is wrong. What they have tried to do is judge others for where they may or may not go to church. That also is wrong. You see, people who know him like I do know that he does not force himself on anybody. That's why he gave us free will. And he's certainly not going to force himself on others through the state. And so, see, some people just don't want to hear it, and it's okay. My campaign is not for everybody. My campaign is only for those of us who live in the light and walk with the truth. But here's the beautiful thing. Servant leadership is for everybody, because the only label that matters is human being. And my job is to serve every single human being that calls this state home. Thank y'all.
Listen, it's the governor race. I'm gonna let him rip. So Dr. Jermaine Johnson gets the same amount of time, which whatever that was, you just
do it. Good evening, Democrats. I am Representative Jermaine Johnson, and I will be your next governor of South Carolina, y'all. Listen, I'm just honored to be back up here again, hanging out with y'all, because we have a state to save. We have a state to save right now, in this moment, at this exact time. See, I went to the counseling, and then I ended up creating a nonprofit organization because I wanted to make sure that people did not have to go through what I went through coming up. I created this nonprofit to help young people, to help military veterans, and to help people who have been to prison to get a second chance at life. And that is what has got me discovered. I ended up going to an event in my community to help advocate for a young person who had just been stopped 3 times in 3 days by the police in the area. They had searched him and they let him go. And I went to this event to go advocate for him. And after I got done advocating, I got a standing ovation, y'all. I was like, man, this is crazy. But then as I was leaving this facility, I got a tap on my shoulder, and this gentleman says, Jermaine, you're exactly what we need. You're the future. These young people, they look up to you, they want to be like you, they respect you. And that's how I got involved with politics. That's how I started getting involved with the young Democrats. That's how I got involved with the Black Caucus. That's how I got involved with everything. And I decided to run for office in 2020. And when I ran for office, you know what happens when a young person decides to jump out there. You're too young. You're too inexperienced. You need to wait your turn. And the one they also used to tell me was, Jermaine, you're too black. They're never going to elect you. But I ignored all the noise. I ignored all of that, and I ran for office anyways. And on election night, I was teaching a class at Webster University, and I got text messages and phone calls saying, Jermaine, you won. You got 76% of the vote. I became the first black and the youngest to represent my district at House District 80. We made history. So when I tell my entire story, I tell everybody literally, I went from no house to the State House. No house to the State House. And after I've been in the State House for 3 terms, a lot of y'all got introduced to me from this viral video that went around the country where I was fighting against the diversity, equity, inclusion ban. And once that happened, I got messages and phone calls from people all across South Carolina. Then I started getting phone calls and messages from people all across America. And then I started getting messages and phone calls from people all across the world. And they said, Jermaine, you gave words to my pain. You spoke to what I've been feeling. And we need you to do more. And that's when I decided to say, you know what? I'm going to run for governor of South Carolina. Because the people need a voice. Because in this state, for over 23 years, this state has been run by a single party rule. We have seen a Republican governor We've got a Republican supermajority in the House, a Republican supermajority in the Senate for the first time in 150 years. We've got a Republican agriculture. We've got Republican education. We've got Republican, all the congressional districts with the exception of Congressman Clyburn. Every single leadership position, comptroller general, everything is Republican led. So what is the excuse? We have given these individuals all of this power to change our lives, but yet they have done nothing. They have been irresponsible with the power that we have given them. What is the reason why we have counties, 17 counties without an OBGYN? Why are rural hospitals closing down? Why are we 43rd in education? Why do we have to ride over those 100 potholes to get here today? Why are we dealing with all of these issues in the state? It's because they don't care. Status quo keeps them in power. Status quo keeps everything the same. And we know what happens when status quo, these individuals, they continue to line their pockets with power. This is what happens. But in 2026, y'all, I think you know, man, 2026, in November of 2026, we have an opportunity for the first time to flip this state blue. We have candidates up and down the ballot, and I promise you, with a Jermaine Johnson at the top of the ticket, this state will be blue in November. Thank y'all so much.